But as soon as you get onto the past, the past is always predicted because it follows a certain. But the greater you get the distance or the reality, because any cosmic object has a greater reality than any manufactured object, because it was at the beginning of time. It represents the timeless. We only give it time. But it has. We give it time, we give it past. Because the scientific or the ordinary person's knowledge of time, notion of time, is all past. It is not time at all. If you get the notion of time right, and you can't get the notion of time, you've got to be present in the time and get rid of the notion to be the timeless. And then the action, the cause and the effect are the same. There's no difference, no room for notion. And that is a description of consciousness.
Yeah, well, I think, bringing a lot of things here. I get a vague notion of what you're saying, but you're bringing in a lot of different things, no?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I understand. I am.
It would take some
yes,
work
perhaps we should.
Well, I have to absorb some of this, you see.
Of course I understand.
But, I mean, first of all, you've got a different terminology, which I have to understand. A different way of putting it. But let me ask another question. I mean, I heard the tape. What was the name of it? The unbelievable.
The unacceptable, unbelievable truth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course, I've been into all that before, but unless I didn't find it to accept it.
Yes, of course.
But you see, you're saying it's truth. You see, and it was not clear to me why you say it's truth or how you came to the truth. I mean, you said it with great energy, which carried conviction, but at the same time, I was a little worried that maybe it would hypnotize the listener a bit. To just go along with that.
Yes, yes.
Or that it's something we would like to believe.
Yes, yes.
I suppose, you see, how, I mean, I understood from the thing on the, from the, the thing that held the tape, I had a few words on it that you had, it started out in quite a different way. You were in some business, and
yes, yes,
it was a change. I mean, and then you saw this. I mean, could you make it clear what all that means?
Yes. I started to enter myself, to go inside at the age of 32.
Now you gave up your business or whatever. I forget what it was.
Yes, but I've always, because I am a Western teacher, I've come to teach the Western intellect. I work in the world, I earn money, and I pay the rent, and I don't...
You still have another job now?
Well, not a great deal now, because I write, or I work for the centre, but I have income, but I'll be going over to working full-time for the tree, for our centre that we run shortly. But I work in the world, as you can see. I run a house and run a motor car, and I don't sit in. Although my knowledge comes out of the East, out of the original East, which is deep inside of me. I am thoroughly Western in my approach, because that's the only way I can talk to the Western.
Yeah, you said you did spend some time in India.
15 months, yes. 18 months.
Was that of any value to you?
Yes, only that I didn't meet anyone there.
No, but what was it about India?
I don't know. I don't know. But I was led there.
But see, what happened actually? You say you begin to look into yourself, huh?
Yes. What happened? I suddenly started to change from a newspaper man and very extroverted and thinking, following the normal things that newspaper men do, which is nothing, except busyness, and started to go quiet, and look inside and start to look at what was happening inside of me rather than what was happening outside of me.
Now, what did you discover then?
I eventually discovered immortality.
Try one of these questions.
I eventually discovered or found or entered the region of the mind, which is a stratum.
Which is?
A strata
Yeah.
of the mind. Of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
What I call the terrestrial mind, which is our mind, but it goes very deep. And I entered that area where one realizes the immortality of the being.
Are you able to communicate to other people now?
Yes, I do. By the presence of my consciousness, I bring them closer to that strata of the mind. The very presence of such consciousness brings about in man and woman a descent into that consciousness. Like your consciousness would bring about a greater descent, as you would find with your pupils, that your very presence would communicate to them a greater understanding of the subject because of your earnestness and the area of the mind that you have penetrated by your detachments from other things and your meditation, as it were, on your science.
Yeah, well, that's probably true, huh? Yeah.
And your mind goes towards an inner reality, and yours goes towards the communication of the external reality, a greater understanding of the external reality. That's all. But mine is more real. That's all, because we're all going to die. It's all that makes mine real.
Mm-hmm.
Because it puts you towards that rather than towards the other, which does not involve immortality. It is infinite and has no end in its distraction.
Well, isn't the immortal also infinite?
The mortal is infinite.
But isn't the immortal infinite too?
Well, in this sense, in the truth, one has to pass through the finite into the infinite. But what I say, what science and everyone external is doing, is trying to find the infinite through an external finite.
Yeah.
And you can't do it. It just keeps going. It's just continuous infinite.
Well, that's a endless infinite. That's a endless extension.
Yes, an endless extension. It leads nowhere. Which what got us where we're going, which is nowhere. Except
But there's an inward infinite of depth.
Yes, but you must go through the finite. As outside, as you think it is outside, so it is within. You must go with the finite, and I am the finite. This body is the finite, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not something outside of me, not an atom outside of me. That will never get me there.
No, but I mean the atom is also finite.
Yeah, but that will not get you there.
Yeah.
That is the distraction, because it's going away from death. If I go into my own finiteness, I go towards my own death. And as I do, as I explained about where I went in India, and where any man who is going towards the truth must go, he goes towards his own death because he starts to understand the attachments, and they are broken for him then as he goes in towards his death. Because he goes through the finite, and when he's gone deep enough through the finite, that means into the terrestrial mind, he then bursts through into the infinite.
Well, the terrestrial mind would be the mind, the collective mind of man, wouldn't it?
Collective, yes.
Yeah.
The whole
of mankind.
Yes, the whole of mankind, which is the reality. The individual does.
The individual is a manifestation of that collective mind.
Yes.
But isn't
But
there...
in a unique position in time. I don't know where we were, Mr. Black.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about... Yes, we were talking about going through the finite, which I am, my body. I'm talking about all of us. Through the finite body, the real body, which is the only thing I can identify as myself, rather than matter outside myself.
Well, of course, one depends on matter too. I mean, the air and everything around.
Yes, but one cannot feel that. One must feel one's own finiteness first to get to the infinite. one is not aware of one's own finiteness, one will never find an infinite.
Now, how are you aware of your own finiteness? What does that mean, like, precisely?
It means to start, instead of being dependent on the senses alone to communicate to you that you exist, to be able to apperceive, as I call it, within.
Yes, now apperception, according to the dictionary, means perception which includes perception of itself. That I looked it up. I mean, I read it somewhere else. I mean, you used it too, but I mean, some other people have been using it. It means perception which includes perception of self. You see it in the act of perception, I presume.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that, of course, is a description of the state of being able to feel your own sensation.
Mm-hmm.
So one must be able to feel, first of all, to start to get in and feel one's own sensation.
Yeah, well, I understand that. I work on that myself. I'm sure that you have something else to say. I mean,
Yes. The question is, where does that one lead one?
mm-hmm.
First, one must be sure that one has a right teacher to help them to find their real sensation and not their emotional sensation and their aberrating self, which goes on infinitely like the rest of it. One must be led by a right consciousness to focus onto their
What is the real sensation? You see, I mean, so let's say we have a sensation here and there, in various places, which are connected with thought, right?
Yes. And that is not real. That has to be all dissolved and unified so that it comes down to the sensation which has no position. In other words, does not create the illusion of an external body
Yes.
as image.
Now, you see that the sensation one has, which you can see is produced by thinking, or by past, is, being present in various parts of the body, right?
Yes.
Now, you're saying that is not the, that is really an appearance only, right?
Well, it's an intermediate. It's an endeavor to get the attention whole
Yeah.
by getting it at least partially conscious.
Yeah.
So
Now,
we go
what
through
is the sensation you're talking about, the whole sensation?
A very difficult thing, except to demonstrate in your own experience, to describe, because now we're getting beyond matter, we're getting beyond the...
But sensation, at first you say, is the sensation of matter, right?
That is so, which I am.
Which I am. Now,
Yes.
I am the matter of the body.
You are the matter of the body, that is so. As you are the consciousness of the body.
What?
As you are the consciousness of the body.
Right. Now, what would you say about my use of the word soma? Significance. Say, I am the soma, and I am the meaning, right? Significance, right? Now, does consciousness go beyond that?
Consciousness is are those two, the unification.
Of meaning and matter?
Yes, yes. Meaning and matter.
Yes. Now, let's get to the sensation, the whole sensation, right? What you're talking about.
Yes.
Have you communicated this to other people?
Yes.
Right.
It is always communicated by the perception of sensation.
Yes.
Because sensation in itself is perception.
Wait. Yes.
Sensation is perception.
What is it? Perception? What kind of perception?
Perception of perception of perception of
Yeah,
perception.
All right, that's perception, a perception of itself, right?
It has nothing in it, and yet everything is implicit in the perception, so therefore one does not need to know anything, because one knows all, because one can perceive what is being perceived, and the perceiver, everything is united. So one is beyond needing to know anymore, because one is informed continuously.
Yeah, but you can't be informed about all the details. You see, for example, how this machine works and so on.
I don't need to know that.
Yes.
If I need to know that, I just pick up the telephone and ask someone, because I can do that, because this has got nothing to do with I don't need that. It's one of the things you can take from me.
Yes. All right, so you're saying that that this perception is perception of all that you need to know.
Including death, which is all you need to know. Because if you knew the end there is no death, you're free. Is that not so?
All right, now,
But that's only the beginning.
the beginning of what?
This perception, the first thing that it reveals of value,
Yeah.
is immortality. But then, like the universe, it is unlimited. The first thing of value that is perceived by by this by real spiritual apperception is immortality. Because that's the first immortality. I am immortal, which is the first thing of value, which gives one value. One can then look at the world and see what is of value because one has lost one's fear, which makes one bury oneself in an aspect of the world.
Now, is fear entirely the fear of death, or is it, might be, say there may be fear, for example, of frustration and fear of breakdown. People may be afraid of not having money or not having food or going crazy or whatever, right? Or is that all reducible to the fear of death?
Yes.
How would you say that?
Yes, that is. Everything is reducible to the fear of death.
Even when people commit suicide to escape their fear.
Yes.
Why is that?
Why do people commit suicide? Why do I have a look?
Well, they may escape what they're afraid of. That's one possibility. To get out of it.
Yes, but they are. It is the state of the mind, which doesn't care what it does, as long as it willfully does what it wants to do. It doesn't care.
Yes, but how is that connected with fear of death?
Yes, because it sees living. It sees living as death. There's nowhere to go, and living is death. Living is death in the sense of it is the reflection of death. Death is the reality, and living is the reflection of the reality. And it's a living death, and that's what extends it out.
It's strung out, yes.
Yeah.
So people want to escape that living death.
Yes.
And that's because time is caught in time, which is too fast.
Exactly.
If time was slow, then it would be slow enough to be able to deal with things, and yet
not to deal with things, but to be able to see the truth.
To see the truth, but it would still be enough time to see. If you say slow, for example, you may have to do something very fast, nevertheless. Now,
Mm-hmm.
But then, what is the meaning of that? That you're not doing it in time. You may be driving a car and you have to react very fast, right? And decide something very fast. Can you do that in the state in which the time is slow?
Yes, because the consciousness is moving at a tremendous speed.
Yes, the intelligence, right?
Yes, yes. It's moving at a tremendous speed.
Really, it's really the question that
one doesn't
being caught in time is the wrong reaction to what's happening.
Yes.
We try to react to all that's happening by speeding up psychological time.
Yes. So we need motor cars. If you take it to the racial level, we need motor cars to continue to speed up. And that is the progression of time, is our own ignorance, our need to escape death, to fill in time, which we are creating ourselves.
Yes. But also we may have the impression that we need to produce this time to be very, to keep up with all that's happening, to keep in touch with all that's happening. There's so many things happening and people try to stay in contact with it, and after their own time must speed up. Right?
Yes. What is happening? Nothing.
Nothing really, but I'm saying a lot of
yes, that is so.
Right?
So we create the need.
Yeah.
And therefore we're caught in our own need like we're caught in what we're doing now, and we can't stop it because it reached a point of no return, and we've reached it now.
When do you think it reached it?
It reached it in my consciousness. It reached it in my consciousness in that it was revealed to my consciousness. In that it was revealed to my consciousness last year. But it reached it a long time before that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, one had the feeling, that it's getting impossible, yes.
It was a possibility up to when it was revealed to my consciousness.
Yeah.
It was a possibility that might not be necessary, but
yeah.
Now it is beyond it. It's where I come from. It is beyond possibility.
Yeah, well, there are many questions which are unclear. When we say my consciousness, your consciousness, nevertheless, there's one consciousness. You see, is it just the body That's
No,
different?
the problem is intelligence.
Yeah.
You see, if I could just speak to intelligence. First of all, I notice in the introduction to your book, the first thing that you raise is that there has been no solution to the nature of movement.
Yeah.
Now I have to say that I know what the nature of movement is, and so therefore it has been solved by what I am. And the movement, the nature of movement, is ignorance. In that, movement is an impossibility. Movement is an index of intelligence, the level of intelligence. If the human race were truly intelligent, there would be no movement.
Well, it can't mean that exactly. We still move the body and so.
No, but that would not exist.
What?
The movement of the body would not exist.
Well, how was that?
Because intelligence began with time.
Yeah.
In which intelligence extrapolated or projected itself out of consciousness. Now, intelligence really should be back inside consciousness.
Yeah.
Because it is implicit in consciousness, and consciousness does not need intelligence because it is implicit in it.
Yeah.
But man has projected his intelligence, and therefore has created movement. Now, if he were fully conscious, there would be no movement.
I mean, he would not, you have to put it differently, that he would not perceive the world as movement, right? That is, let's put it this way, I now perceive that my hand is moving. Right?
That's because, yes, you and I both perceive that, because that's the level of our intelligence.
Yes, but what makes you say otherwise if how do you know?
Unfortunately, I know, but I shall demonstrate it as best I can. When you look at a star, and you can watch it and it never moves like the fixed stars, you are looking with greater consciousness and far greater intelligence, since that intelligence has started to disappear as a projected part. One is then looking with consciousness. And therefore, the object is more real, and the observer is more real. And so time, and also motion, disappears.
Yeah, but if there's also the movement of the star, that it is moving through space, and stars are moving around each other.
Not unless you measure them in the past.
Yeah, but you see, do you feel it? Is it all desirable to make what you say consistent with whatever
Is,
and also the way we are generally looking at it? At least explain what's wrong with the way we're looking at it.
well, the way we're looking at it is that we have extrapolated or extended our intelligence so much that we have made everything move faster and faster, psychologically.
I understand that psychologically, but
actually.
Yes, but but the natural movements are the same as ever. You see, like saying the moon, the Earth is moving around the sun, the seasons follow each other, and so on. Now that hasn't changed, right? Now, is that a real movement?
That is, yes. But as we perceive it, as you go deeper and deeper into the reality which is the universe, everything moves more slowly. That's one way of looking at it. Everything moves more slowly because you become more intelligent. The deeper you look into anything, if you look into matter, I would say, the deeper you look into it, it starts to disappear.
Well, it disappears, but whatever you see, in one sense, moves faster because electrons, particles move very fast.
That's because the intelligence is moving faster till eventually it moves so fast it becomes one with consciousness. But the movement slows down. The movement disappears. Does it not?
Well, you said just before, though, that intelligence moves very fast. Is that a real movement?
No, it's what I said is about this oscillation consciousness.
Yeah.
It is discontinuous.
Yeah.
And then when it's discontinuous, it is moving at maximum speed and therefore is still. So in matter, movement would start to disappear. The more intelligent you get as a scientist to investigate matter, the more your movement would start to disappear as movement.
Yes, but how would it appear then? When you see, like the seasons following each other and so on, the water falling down the cliff, and
Yes.
how would you see it?
Well, then I would have to come out of the cosmos, which is a greater reality and a greater intelligence, if you can observe it, into the terrestrial, wouldn't I?
All right, so you could say movement is an appearance which is valid at the terrestrial level, would you say?
It's valid, but it shows of our lack of intelligence.
Well,
as a
intelligence is to say
perceiving.
that that's the end of it, right?
But
that
we
movement
can.
is all there is.
That movement
Yeah.
is all there is. But as we become more intelligent, movement begins to cease, except at the sense perceptive level, which we're all stuck
Yeah.
with, because that's where a racial expression.
That's what I was referring to, that you will still see it happening there.
Oh yes, but the
That's
significance
where-
will change
Yeah, all right, well that's...
because of the consciousness is greater.
yeah.
The intelligence is
What will be
greater.
the significance of that movement? Could we say that is an appearance?
Love.
But the movement of water and so on.
Love.
Yeah.
That's where we come. That's where
It's going very fast. Huh?
Yeah. No. But really, that would be the significance of the waterfall
Yeah.
or of water. Would be the communication, that would be love, to such a consciousness. Any consciousness that is where I am is only there because it is filled with love. That means it sees the significance of things, not the appearance or relationship of things, but the significance of them.
All right. But anyway, but even the appearance, you see, for example, if you're going to cross the stream, you have to pay attention to the appearance, right?
Oh, yes.
Yes, and the appearance itself, therefore, it may be a correct or an incorrect appearance, and insofar as it's correct, it must reflect something in the real, right?
Oh, yes. Yes. First of all, yes. It reflects the limitation of our intelligence, that it is necessary for us. That it is necessary for us to have that movement that reflects the level of our racial intelligence that is necessary. But it does reflect a reality within which is not differentiated. That's the problem. But the senses, our unintelligence, differentiate.
Well, perhaps the senses...
Which is the sense of isolation.
Yes, the senses may differentiate, but the unintelligence consists, I think, in the feeling and in giving the meaning that differentiation is the basis of the whole of existence, right? The differences of things.
Is the basis of existence, which is its ignorance.
Yes, that is the ignorance.
Yes.
Now, if we say it's
So
only
that is the intelligence.
but if we see it as an appearance of something which is all one, then that would be different.
Yeah, that would be different. But when you say all one, you've got to be very careful, because
Yeah.
lots of mystics talk like that, and it's not the truth.
Yeah.
It misleads people
Yes,
who are trying to get to the
what way is
truth.
it not the truth? Then?
Yeah, we get the truth. It is seen as love.
What is seen as love? Everything?
Existence is seen as love, inasmuch as love is the unifying principle, and consciousness is only possible within the medium of love.
Now,
And
we say the
therefore-
whole of the universe is love. Then.
If the medium to see it as it is love.
Yes,
That is, medium is love, and then one sees the significance of it, that it is a reflection of the reality within, and that when then one sees what this plant is, that it is beautiful, and it has a natural life which I invented has not the same nature of life as that. Therefore, is more separate from me, in that I invented it with my intelligence.
What did you invent with the intelligence?
Yes.
Yeah, the chair. Yeah.
Yeah, I meant the chair. Yeah.
So that is more different from you than the chair. Right?
That is more. Yes, that is closer to my being.
That is closer to your being than the chair. That's all.
That is so. Yes, because this is a manufacture. This is part of the world that is going to destroy itself.
Well, we'll destroy that too.
It destroys everything, because it's
Yeah.
going to destroy. Yes, it's going to destroy itself, but it's not going to destroy the reality of that.
What do you mean by that?
Because the reality of that is within. Because this is all, as you said, it has to have significance, the waterfall. And that reflects in the external world, reflects a undifferentiated reality within. And the plant reflects an undifferentiated reality within. And consciousness, through the medium of love, sees that meaning.
So the meaning is really what will not be destroyed.
As much as you cannot die, you will not be destroyed. You will be you.
The meaning is part of consciousness, right? Because in consciousness.
Is in consciousness. But the problem is the notion in between.
The notion, which is the notion thought or?
Yes. Yes. Analyzing. And finally, that is. Understand? I mean, we've all analysed, but finally we're talking about getting into consciousness. We're talking about eventually all that will go. And that is why you talk in your book about this creative, where the idea suddenly comes. That comes out of consciousness. And you don't analyse anything. It's suddenly there. That comes from consciousness. Which everyone has, of course. But it is to realise that consciousness which